Greetings, 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 and salutations, one and all. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the night shift. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? It's a brand new week right here on the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. Tonight we do a thing we call community and finance. Kicking it off with Skinny Bantan. It's called Wrong Again.
Turn up the mic. When I say I'm fed up with one, all you feel is broke and making. I don't want to hate on love, but sometimes I keep debating. She say she only lover, she only friend. We make a wish, now it we pen. I sleep and I had a dream, wake up and I make a vow. As soon as everything complete, we saw one out. What I do wrong again, lad? Tell me what I do wrong again. People calling me them lad. They say I get one again. They wish I got it. They get enough fuck it. Put it in a bucket. But the girl she keep on complaining. When I do it, they say put your back into it. All I know I try. She name calling with another guy. What I do wrong again, lad? Tell me what I do wrong again. People calling me them lad. They say I get one again. I buy she chocolate, I buy she rose. I push she out, I take she back, I pick up the clothes. I never leave her, but people tell me she hot. And now she find a man and she telling me she done. What I do wrong again, lad? Tell me what I do wrong again. People calling me them lad.
The track is called Wrong Again. The sound of Skinny Bantan. I want to welcome you all to the broadcast. It's a night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. I think we call community and finance.
When I do it, they say put your back into it. All I know I try. She name calling with another guy.
I want to say big ups to all the affiliates around the globe. Top of the morning to you guys over there in the UK on One Harmony Radio. Big ups to those who are locked in on the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew on TuneIn Radio.
Tell me what I do wrong again.
Those on Island Worldwide up there in New York. NIE Radio out of Pat's, New Jersey. Big ups to those on WGLRO, home of the Donning Walker Morning Show. The People Station out of Texas. Big ups to those on ClintonLindsay.com, the Foundation Radio Network.
Tell me what I do wrong again. People calling me them.
Blessings to those on Oliwap Radio and Dusic Media Group. Those locked in on PEMGTV.com. Those of you watching live. Those tuning in to the segment broadcast, the segment simulcast on Facebook Live. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Tell me what I do wrong again.
Blessings, Donovan.
People calling me them lad.
Good to see you, bro.
Tell me what I do wrong again. People calling me them lad. They say I get one again. They wish I got it. They get enough fuck it. Put it in a bucket. But the girl she keep on complaining. When I do it, they say put your back into it. All I know I try. She name calling with another guy. What I do wrong again, lad? Tell me what I do wrong again.
Okay, I just have, before I bring on my guests, one more piece of housekeeping to take care of.
What I do wrong again, lad? Tell me what I do wrong again.
I want to say thank you to my segment.
They say I get one again.
Yeah, my segment sponsors, multitasking here, getting distracted.
They got enough fuck it. Put it in a bucket. But the girl she keep on.
Want to say big ups to Paul C Media Group, providing innovative streaming and recording solutions. When being in the moment is priceless, give them a call. 754-999-6020. What can they hook you up with? Streaming services for your seminar, your church service, your funeral, your wedding, your party. Give them a call, 754-999-6020. And if you want to take it a step further and have your own internet TV station, they can hook you up too. Visit them on pulseemg.com. I want to say thanks to Althea and her Healing Heavenly Hands. Althea is a licensed massage therapist operating out of Broad County, North Miami-Dade and South Palm Beach counties. She comes to you with over 20 years of experience. Yeah, she just went to 21, so it's over 20 now. Thank you very much, Althea. Give her a call, 954-655-9000. She comes to you with her table, her oils, and of course her Healing Heavenly Hands. I was waiting for my guests to sort out their cameras. You ladies have two different orientations. I want to say big ups to Reggae Global Entertainment. Thank you for sponsoring the third segment. Reggae Global Entertainment will act as your booking agents to take care of your tour management, take care of your copyrights, your trademarks, business registration, legal service referrals, music production, marketing and promotion, and so much more. Give them a call, 954-998-8034, or check them out online, reggaeglobalentertainment.com. Thank you to GMAT Music Solutions. They bring your events to life, providing sound, light, stage production services, musical equipment, PA systems, audio engineers, DJs, bands, musicians, singers, and so much more. Give them a call, 754-307-GMAC, or check them out online, gmatmusicsolutions.com. Yeah man, tell me what I did wrong again. The track is called Wrong Again. Yes, Melissa Jane. Althea not only is a massage therapist, but she is certified as a personal trainer. So after she works you out and you have aching muscles, she can give you a massage. I want to say big ups to my sister from another mister. Okay, I have my guests already. I just need to make one little adjustment. Well, while they're introducing themselves, I'll make that adjustment. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you my guests for the evening, Trey and Danielle. There they are, Trey Johns and Danielle.
Chanzes.
Are you guys hearing me? Danielle Chanzes, yes. Are you guys hearing me? Okay, cool. All right, because I'm hearing you loud and clear also. Beautiful.
Oh. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you both clearly. So
Perfect.
If you just go ahead and introduce yourselves for me, please.
Absolutely. So I'm getting an echo back.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I keep getting an echo back, Kevin.
Oh, okay. Is it still there?
It is.
Weird echo, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what about now?
I don't hear it now.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Sorry, just wanted to make sure. So,
All right, not a problem.
My name is Danielle Chanzes, and I am an organizer with Dignity Power. And specifically, I have been working as the lead organizer on a case for this woman named Diamond Ford that I'm looking forward to telling y'all about this evening. I'll pass it over to Trey.
Excellent. Trey?
How y'all doing? I'm Trey Johns. I'm executive director of Dignity Power and Fed Fam. If I go in and out, I am traveling on the highway. I'm in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky. So,
wow.
I'll try to be as succinct as possible.
Well, I do thank you, ladies, for taking the time out to talk with us tonight, and to kind of bring us up to speed with what is going on here in this particular case, which involves Diamonds Ford. I'm gonna, I don't know, Trey. There you are. Beautiful. That position right there is excellent. So tonight, I titled tonight's broadcast "For Diamonds Ford," and I'd like, I don't know which of you would be best to go ahead and give us an overview of the Diamonds Ford case, who Diamonds Ford is, and what is going on here. So Trey, you want to take it? Okay.
I'll take it.
So Danielle, you're up.
Sure. So, I'm gonna tell the story how I always tell it, which is obviously the truth. But Diamonds Ford is a 28-year-old single black mother who was living in Jacksonville, Florida, and she was asleep in her home on the morning of September 28th when she awoke to the sound of glass shattering in her home. And, you know, I think any of us would be startled if the first thing you hear when you wake up is your windows being broken in. You're going to logically think that somebody is breaking into your home, which is what Diamonds thought. We were talking with her last week, and, you know, she said it. She was like, listen, I'm going to keep it real. I live in the hood. Somebody breaks into my house, I think they're coming to get something.
Right.
And so that's the sound she heard when she woke up. Her and her partner, you know, ducked down, and she grabbed her legally owned firearm. Legally, I just want to again emphasize that this is the Second Amendment tells everybody that they have the right to bear arms. We know what type of country we live in, so some people think that only applies to people with a certain type of skin color, but all people have the right to bear arms. Right. So Diamonds grabbed her firearm and she shot out the window towards these people who were breaking into her home. Gotcha. She actually gets fire returned to her, so she could have died, truly. Like, she could have been hit by a bullet and died. Upon the return fire, her and her fiancé retreat to the bathroom. She calls 911, and she tells the dispatcher, send someone, they're shooting. And she's speaking low under her breath because, you know, it's like she doesn't want the intruders to hear. Mm-hmm. You hear her in the background at one point saying she's going to die. I mean, she's truly afraid for her life.
Right.
Then, while on the phone with the dispatcher, she hears the sheriff's office outside her home. She goes, wait, that's JSO out there. She's genuinely confused. As she goes outside, this is somebody who, again, I want to emphasize, she lives so within, she has no criminal history whatsoever. And she lives so within the law that when she realized it was the police, she went and she said, y'all have the wrong house. Like, she's like, y'all just got it mixed up. You're not supposed to be here.
Right.
And they went and they were like, nope, we're at the right place. And they went and they arrested her for attempted murder of a law enforcement officer. So a few things to run it back to as well, though. They did not knock on her door. It was a no-knock warrant. And no-knock warrants are outlawed in the state of Florida. They claim that they announced, but Diamonds was asleep, and there are plenty of neighbors around who said they never heard an announcement, just like Diamonds never heard an announcement. So that is just, again, really important to know about her case. I lost the thought that I had about another point I was going to make. Um, I think for me, just the similarities that it has to Breonna Taylor's case. I mean, she really could have ended up dead. They returned fire. I apologize. That is my dog.
You jumped like you didn't know you had a dog.
Princess. I jumped because I was surprised to hear her barking. Um, so, but yeah, I mean that's pretty much the logistics. I'm sure there was something on my head that I had wanted to tell you, but that's the basics of the case.
We'll come back to it. We'll get it in because there's quite a bit of information to this particular case. It plays out so similarly to Breonna Ford, except that no one died. And with that in mind, it's kind of scary. When you look at, I think we lost Danielle for a moment. When you look at, oh, there she is. When you look at cases, at this particular case, first off, the first bit of information that came out, let me make sure I have the right one, was something about a couple being arrested. Here it is. No, this one is body cams showing that when she was arrested. There was the first report that I got was dated, I think, the 29th. Yeah, September 29th. This happened back in September in Jacksonville. And it says, charges have been upgraded against a man and woman following Monday's shooting that nearly killed a SWAT officer helping serve a search warrant in the 7200 block of Rutledge Pearson Drive, says the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. And initially they were charged with armed possession of marijuana. And, okay, in this one it doesn't say with intent to distribute, but in other reports it says with intent to distribute. Now, if based on what I have learned about warrants being served, a copy of this warrant that they came, and this was a search warrant, that, as according to this report here, not an arrest warrant, but a search warrant. So, a copy of this warrant would have been left at the premises. Do you guys know of one being left and what it read? Trey, you can chime in at any time. You're on mute, but you can chime in at any time.
I will say I'm not aware of any warrant that was left at the house, and I think that's been a lot of what has been the legal battle. Is like the subject of this warrant. We know that Diamonds Ford nor her fiancé Anthony Gantt were the actual subject of the warrant. The way they obtained the warrant was allegedly from information from a confidential informant that said he supposedly one time purchased marijuana or something in that home. And then, we get into the whole thing, not to jump ahead, of like the fact that this was a no-knock warrant when no-knock warrants are outlawed in the state of Florida. And what we know is that they're outlawed except under, special circumstances, right? Mm-hmm. And the defense attorney for Anthony Gantt has repeatedly asked for evidence of the extenuating circumstances that would, cause them to feel like they needed to go into the house the manner that they did without knocking. And they have still, the prosecutors have still failed to provide that information. And again, I think that's really substantial because when you talk to Diamond, she said, all they had to do was knock on the door. I would have put my dog away and opened it up for them. And I keep, going back to the whole point of like, Diamond is somebody who lived within the law. She told these people they were at the wrong house. And I'm sorry, but a single black mother did not wake up one morning and say, hey, you know what? Today I want to be a cop killer. It just didn't happen. So this whole case just doesn't make sense. And the narrative they're pushing, it doesn't make sense. And just to touch on one more thing, you were talking about the reports and the way the reports, the
warrant.
The news reported.
Okay. The news reports. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and 2 arrested, this and that. They're reporting these things obviously in a biased way to garner sympathy for their side. But when you look at it, the way I see it and the way really the world should see it is Diamonds and Anthony are survivors of police violence. They are survivors. They are police shooting survivors. That's how the headline should be started. Not a woman who shot cop released on bail. Police violence survivor, finally freed after wrongful arrest. Those are the headlines that we need to be seeing. But the news is reporting these in a way that favors the police because, the police know they're dead wrong. And, they I'm sure they put pressure on to make sure that they're portrayed favorably.
Now, I don't know who exactly is spinning the narrative, if it is coming from the police department that way or if it is coming out of the media houses that way. Not too sure how it is that who it is that's the puppet master behind the narrative. But this only sounds too familiar. Of course, with Breonna Taylor's case taking center stage late last year and causing so much interest in what is going on with police officers. Now, I don't have anything against police officers. I have a police department represented on my broadcast every month from here in South Florida. So, and fortunately for us, we had a detective that was on the broadcast just last week. So anyone that would like to know some more about how warrants are served, whether it be search warrants or arrest warrants, how they are served, how they're executed, then you can go ahead and check that out on the podcast or anywhere. Just you can search for the Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew, and you'll see all the broadcasts up there. But here it is. You said Diamonds had a dog, which is interesting to me because none of the reports said anything about a dog. But it might seem like it is not important, but here it is to me. If you have a dog and a stranger comes knocking on your door, that dog is going to bark. So, you guys both muted yourselves. So if you're going to respond, you might want to take that off.
Okay, I mean, yeah, absolutely. And the dog didn't wake her up because they didn't come to the door. The first interaction that they had with her home was breaking out the window. They were parked like in the middle of the street, and they announced a warrant. But she lived in a neighborhood where they could have been talking about any damn house on the block.
So they actually did make an announcement?
They say they made an announcement on the loudspeaker. Okay. But then again, if the warrant wasn't in her name, it wouldn't have been her name that was announced on the loudspeaker. It wouldn't have been Anthony's name that was announced on the loudspeaker. So even if they did, it still wouldn't have gave them reason to wake up.
Has any of the neighbors said that they heard any announcement? None. Wow. You see, that's a problem.
Nobody heard anything. And the people that heard something, they couldn't understand what they heard because it was 8:00 in the morning and you hear a speaker outside. And of course, they only announced it one time. So if you didn't catch it, or if you wasn't paying attention, or if you were in the kitchen cooking or asleep, you don't know what they said.
All right. So based on what I've learned about executing search warrants, or any warrant, extenuating circumstances may allow for the surprise entry into a location. If it is a case of a drug bust and you think that the drugs are going to be disposed of, you give ample time for a response to be made. Well, with a regular warrant, you give ample time for a response to be made after announcing yourself. In Florida, it is required that you announce, wait, and then enter. With extenuating circumstances, my understanding is if you want that element of surprise, then you go in without making an announcement, but as you're entering, you still need to be shouting that you're police and why you're there. That's my understanding of it. Now, apparently this was a joint effort with SWAT and DEA based on...
It was 3 different jurisdictions. And the question should be, is why did we spend we sent 31 law enforcement officers from 3 different jurisdictions to get some marijuana?
Well, here's just that's
and
just
it was
it.
like it was no. This was a lot. That's a question that needs to be unpacked, because we're talking about, they didn't go in there and find heroin, cocaine, and all this other good stuff. They didn't go in there and find pounds and pounds and pounds of marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
They went in there and found a minuscule amount of marijuana, of roughly 2 ounces, and made a whole ordeal about armed possession of marijuana, and gave this woman a $30,000 bond when you can walk in a store and buy marijuana and get a receipt. And at the same time, you charge this man with marijuana, but you only gave him a $7,000 bond on the same marijuana. So there needs to be a lot of questions asked.
So the reports the news reports say the DEA and the joint task involved executing a warrant for cocaine because they got information of drug dealings happening in and around that premises. So the search warrant, did it read for marijuana or did it read for cocaine? Or
did it just say something like drugs?
I believe it was just for narcotics is what they were searching for. I don't know if it specified.
It has to specify. Again,
I think the point too is like they didn't find any narcotics. They found weed. And so this, Trey and myself are abolitionists, right? So we're going to tie this into like abolition and the things that we believe in, the work that we do. But, man, I lose my train of thought all the time. I'm so sleep deprived over here.
I know how that goes.
But, man, what was I promise y'all I had a point.
No, it's just, well, I'll help you out. We tie in our work to where the fact that in we're still locking up black people for marijuana. How dare you give this couple this ridiculously high bond for marijuana when you literally got white boys down the street selling marijuana out of a store and giving people receipts for it? At some point in time, we have to understand that just, I was listening to you when you said if we want to learn about warrants, we can listen. That's no. Because this warrant was served nowhere near within the range of how you're supposed to serve a proper warrant. Okay, you can Google how to serve a proper warrant. And this was not in the constraints of serving a proper warrant, especially for what they found. If you look at Diamond's Ford home, it looked like they tried to drive a tank through her house for 2 ounces of marijuana.
Right.
This is where we have a conversation. How they do, because they wouldn't have went into a dispensary with almost a tank and 31 officers,
here,
and you got illegal narcotics.
here's. Okay, go ahead, Danielle.
Well, I want to tie in the point that I remembered too, because this ties into what we're saying about the search warrant and what I was going to say about abolition. The reason that they got this warrant is because, like you said, a confidential informant says, oh, there's this activity. I bought this stuff over here. And that's something we push back hard against in the abolition community, because confidential informants are not reliable. They have an agenda. The police has an agenda. They can get a confidential informant to say what they want to give them the power to serve these nonsense warrants. And honestly, the way this warrant was executed and what they found is further evidence of how unreliable confidential informant testimony is. You feel what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean, if you're saying there's all these narcotics here and that, and you find 2 ounces of weed, there's some serious issues with the information you've got. So whose agenda was that on, that they wanted to target that house? You know, that was the other point I wanted to make about, you know.
I thought it was interesting how it is that again, how it is, the text is scripted, because it says deputies found a scale and a jar filled with 124.7 grams of marijuana in one of the 3 bedrooms, according to an arrest report. Now, here is what sends up flags for me with this. They said they found a scale and a jar filled with 124.7 grams of marijuana. For those of you who do not know how much 124 grams is, it's less than it's just about a quarter of a pound. Now, 16 ounces make 1 pound. A quarter of a pound is 4 ounces. So, to put things into perspective for you, this is just about the amount. And they said a jar filled. You see, the wording is one of the things that I want people to understand when they read some of these reports. Because the information that you're getting from these news reports online they're going to create a certain image in your head. And unless you speak with individuals that can give you a little bit more insight, then you may have a skewed view on the information that you're getting. And it is important that you look at multiple sources of the information that you're getting also. So here we have Trey Johns and Danielle. Danielle, why it is that I keep forgetting your last name? Chanzes. Thank you. And I had to put them on the screen too to remember. We have them on from Dignity Power. That's another thing that kind of Trey, help me out here. Daniel.
Dignity Power, you right.
Yeah, Dignity Power. I misplaced my notes, so please forgive me. So now you have them going in on this raid. They said an announcement was made. People said they heard something. It wasn't clear what it was that they heard. One of the other things that is important in executing a warrant is the clarity of the announcement. And I got that information as I spoke with Detective Richard Clark from the Lauderhill Police Department last week. You know, you announce in the state of Florida, it is required that you announce and you wait for an opportunity, but except in the extenuating circumstances. Now, if they're arguing that this is extenuating circumstance that led them to go in without a warrant, then we could understand. However, they said they made an announcement, and they said they went to the door, and in one report that I read, it was the door and the window simultaneously because they couldn't see in the window, so they did what is called a break and rake, where they broke the window and moved the curtain away. Now, if the extenuating circumstances is expecting large amounts of drugs in the home, in the premises, then I'm not thinking that a window would be the ideal place to go in from. And if they're gonna break a window, it would be something to set off a disorienting charge, something like a flashbang, so that entry could be made through a larger space. Now, had they knocked, then the dog would have barked. And Danielle raised the point that she has a dog. Dog didn't bark. Nobody said they heard any dogs barking or anything. And if the dogs barked, then they would have been awakened by the dog barking. And if they heard the announcement, then why would she run into the bathroom to call 911? As a matter of fact, I want to play that 911 so that everyone can hear it. And then I'm going to say goodbye to Facebook Live. Y'all use the link that is pinned in the description for me, please. Josie, how are you? Josie is saying on Facebook Live, this is also like when Ayanna Jones was killed in a house raid. She was 7 years old, and police were informed that there were children in the house, and they went in shooting anyway. Cops were not charged. First 48 cameras were there filming the house raid that Ayanna Jones was killed too. Yeah, that's Josie. It's things like those. We don't get to hear all the stories, but there are a number of stories out there, and this is one of them with Diamonds Ford. This one happened just September of 2020, the end of September. It was September 28th that the raid happened, and so this was very recent. I'm gonna play this recording of the 911 call, and then I'm gonna say goodbye to Facebook Live. So listen in for me, please.
Jacksonville 911, what's the address of your emergency?
911, 72. 32, Redleaf, Piston Drive.
Hold on, ma'am. Ma'am, you said 7232. What's the name of the street? Ma'am? Ma'am? Give me the name of the street.
72, please, 7232, Rutledge.
Rutledge?
Please hurry.
What's happening?
Someone's shooting. Somebody, please.
Is it Rutledge Pearson Drive? Ma'am, I've already sent the call. I need to get more information. I've already sent the call.
Oh, God, let me send it down.
7232 Rutledge Pearson Drive, correct?
Yeah.
Do you know who's shooting?
Oh, wait, what? Wait, that's the sheriff's office. Okay, hey, hold on, wait. Hold on, whoa. Come on, wait. Well, what? Nothing. Wait, here. I'm opening the door. You got the wrong house.
So there you hear the 911 call Diamonds Ford made. This alone raises several questions for me. And when you look at the report that is given by these news agencies, you really have to read the entire report. And you have to go from the very first one that is available. The first one that I found came out on the 29th of September 2020. And the most recent one was last week, I believe, with the camera, the body cam information. So this is dated March 10 was the last up. It was published March 9. So there's information out there. Yes, Daniel.
Well, I just, something actually that really just popped into my head, Trey, and I haven't even had an opportunity to discuss it. But now that I'm thinking about it, one, last week they released that footage, which was the whole bunch of nothing, just to keep attention around the case. They released those photos of the officer's injuries. But
Yes.
two, why were the cameras not on during the execution of the warrant? Why do y'all only have video of the arrest of this woman in her boy shorts? They didn't even let her put pants on to go to jail. But you had 31 officers out there and not one video of the execution of your warrant, not one shred of evidence that you all made the announcement that you acted properly, but you have them out here in handcuffs. I mean, how ridiculous is that?
Yeah, and before I get there, because there are a couple of things that I saw in that video that raised questions for me. So, going back though to her making the 911 call, that does not sound like the voice of someone calculating enough to plan how they are going to execute this. One. Two, if there were going to be cop killers, then they would have gone down in a hail of glory, so to speak, in my opinion. Because they wouldn't be going down without a fight. Another thing is, when she realized that it was the police out there, that was when they were trying to get in the door. It was at that moment that they're trying to get in the door. Because they said open the door at this point, and you could hear them. So you want to tell me that they could not be heard earlier making the announcement that they need to come in? And between the time that the shots were fired and this time when they're breaking down the door to say open the door, if there were drugs inside and anybody was trying to dispose of it, it would have been gone at this point. So where is that element of surprise that needed to be there? And I'm asking these questions. I'm not saying they were dead wrong. I'm just saying that all these questions need to be answered for me to believe that they were dead right. You understand? Those of you on Facebook Live, use the link that is in the chat. I'm going to say goodbye to you guys right now. Come on over. Well, actually, I'm gonna let it stay. I'm gonna let it remain. Because this is good information that needs to go out. Everybody needs to get this on all platforms. All right, so I need those questions answered. Danielle, go ahead.
Well, just to touch on what you were saying too, and I agree, everybody needs to hear this info. But you're making a lot of really good points. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered.
One of them is why your dog is acting up.
My dog, she just likes when I'm doing interviews to act crazy. Hold on a second.
Okay. Trey, this is where you take. Well, Trey is frozen. You see, that's that out there in Kentucky, nowhere Kentucky, that Trey says she is. Okay, as we continue. So here it is.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah, you're back with us, Trey.
All right, I'm back. I'm back. I'm a little bit where Kentucky now. Still nowhere, but a little somewhere.
Okay. Now you're seeing signs of life. Okay.
No, like I said, like you said, it's more questions. And one of the things that jumped out to me was the fact that there are three different jurisdictions and they're not sharing the information because the state charges against Anthony Gantt is contingent upon information in the federal papers. But
Okay.
the feds are not sharing that information with the state or his defense attorney. So you're basically, which was the reason they didn't give him a bond reduction, because they're hinging the extingent circumstances on federal information that the state prosecutors claim they don't have access to.
Yeah.
So they playing the game of cat and mouse.
Yes.
And to add to what Trey was saying, the point I was going to make before is I think, and on top of the questions that you have about the execution of the warrant, all these other things, the question is, like you said, this does not sound like somebody who's cold and calculated. So my question is, what is up with this judge who at this point has denied 2 bond reduction motions, one for Diamonds and one for Anthony Gantt, that clearly thinks that Diamonds Ford should be the 2021 Grammy winner for Best Actress, whatever that is. I mean, it's insane to me. And when I spoke with Diamonds after they denied Anthony Gantt's bond reduction, she told me that the judge denied it because she still maintains that Diamonds and Anthony should have known that it was the police coming in. Like somehow they should have magically known that. I don't understand it. I don't understand why she thinks Diamonds is such a good actress. And another point that we haven't touched upon yet, I know Trey is going to have a lot to say about it, is the fact that Florida is a stand your ground state. How do you have a stand your ground state and execute a no-knock warrant? How do you tell people they have the right to protect their home and then say, if you protect your home, we're going to throw you in handcuffs? Those two things cannot coexist. And, I definitely pass it to Trey because I know she has a lot to say about that. But just another important factor in all of this.
It's not even about the inability to coexist. It's their mutually exclusive things. It's like saying, I'm giving you a key to my house, but if you come in my house, I'm going to kill you.
Right.
The state of Florida says I have the right to protect my home against anything that I feel puts me and my family in danger, period.
Okay.
It doesn't exclude the police. It doesn't exclude SWAT. It says if you feel threatened in your home, I have the right to protect my home and my body, period. And then you have exigent circumstances that say I'm going to come in your house without knocking, period. You can't do those two things at the same time because, and honestly, I'll just be brief. At the end of the day, they just mad that they missed and Diamond Force didn't. Because if they would have killed her ass and Anthony Gantt in their bed, we would not be having this conversation. We'd be having our little T-shirts on and it'd be 100,000 people roaming the streets talking about #Diamond Ford, #Anthony Gantt. But when black women stand up and protect ourselves, it's mum's the word. We can't even get 25 people in Jacksonville to come out and stand up for Diamond Ford, but we can get 1 million people to come out and stand up for George Floyd, and he don't even live in Jacksonville, Florida. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. I guess maybe it just hasn't had that that publicity that George Floyd has. And it's kind of weird because people jump on the popular bandwagon. And when it comes to people's lives, I don't care who you are, really. I don't care how popular you are or how popular you are not. If it is a matter of exposing what is right, talking about what is right in a situation, we talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's ask the questions. Let's ask the hard questions too. You know, um, they said diamonds and in that out of that residence there was drug activity. Now this is a joint task. This is a joint activity with, you mentioned three agencies. I only knew about two: the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and the DEA. I didn't know of a third agency being
And the
involved.
FBI, the feds themselves.
I didn't know of the FBI being involved. I didn't see a report including them. So that makes it even more interesting because Intel should have let them know really and truly what they're going into. So you would have thought that in getting this warrant, they had to provide a certain amount of information to the judge so that the judge can sign off on the warrant. And the judge cannot be, the information could not be, well, a hunch. It has to be legit information just to get the warrant. So which is why at the beginning I asked you, what does the warrant say? Because now, depending on what the warrant says, they have something to stand on. They are in a position to defend their actions. Based on what the information I'm getting, there isn't that much to defend their actions other than, well, we were fed intel about drug activity in and around that premises, which led us to act accordingly. And they made an announcement to go in, and the announcement was ignored, and the occupants fired upon law enforcement. So a part of it is, I'm thinking the high bail bond that was set, the 535,000 for Diamonds and 375,000 for Anthony, were based on the argument that it was attempted murder of a law enforcement officer. I could be wrong, but that is my take of it.
It was $500,000 for attempted murder of a law enforcement officer and $30,000 for armed possession of marijuana. Then you ask the question, how is it that this dangerous attempted murderer of a law enforcement officer, after she is bonded out, has no bond restrictions? She doesn't have an ankle monitor. She doesn't have to report. She don't even have I don't even think she has a probation officer or a pretrial officer. None of that. None of that.
Nothing.
Exactly. I mean, I was arrested 20 years ago for selling 5 bags of weed, and I had to call the people every single day. Every day I had to call the people.
Wow.
That's another question. Exactly.
And go ahead, Trey. My bad.
Oh, no, go ahead. They know it's bullshit.
It is bullshit. And here was my other thing.
We're going to ask that you keep it clean. This is a PG-rated show.
Oh.
Yeah.
So my one thing the other point I was going to make, Kevin, is that,
yes.
When you're talking about the warrant and, what leg they have to stand on, let's say they had all 4 legs of the chair to stand on. Like, they executed it properly, this and that. The question still is, and it's not a question, did Diamonds break the law? No. She was in her home. She was in fear for her life. She did not know it was the police. So it doesn't matter. You can say all day long the police were justified in serving this warrant. And we know they weren't. But even if they were, Diamonds was still justified in shooting and protecting her home. And she still should have never been arrested. Doesn't matter how legitimate the warrant was. Diamond still did not break the law. Her arrest was illegal. Anthony's arrest was illegal. And while we're at it, Why is Anthony being held for attempted murder of a law enforcement officer when he didn't even shoot a gun? I mean, there's so many questions about it.
Well, I guess that he is held on the same charges, being in the same place that the event took place. And I know in Texas they have a law where you and I go somewhere, a crime is committed, you commit a crime, and I'm there with you, I get charged along with you.
Now, that's the law of parties. We have it here in Florida as well. It's called felony murder.
And
that applies when
so,
you're in commission of a felony. They weren't in commission of a felony. That law doesn't apply. He wasn't even charged as accessory to murder for passing her the gun. They just flat out, or accessory to attempted murder. They just flat out charged him, but they were not in the commission of a felony to even have that law transferred like it is. Like I said, that's called the law of parties in Texas and
Right.
felony murder here in the state of Florida. So again, make it make sense.
and also
Mhm.
they gave them the same exact charges. However, Diamond's forward bond was $500,000. Anthony Gantt's bond for the same exact charge is $300,000. No, his is $350,000, and his charge for the armed possession of marijuana, where hers is $30,000, his is $7,000. See,
Yeah.
so many questions.
Yeah, these are the things that are puzzling to me. I guess because she was the one that fired the gun, she has the stiffer charge. I don't know. And these are some of the questions that I'd like to get answered. And as this case plays out and it is reported by media, I would expect that some of these things are addressed. I haven't seen any report address these issues with any vim, vigor, or vitality. There's nothing to their investigation of this information. Diamonds Ford and Anthony Gantt were asleep in their bed when this warrant was executed. Here are what we know and what can be this is information that can be supported by even the neighbors. Again, an announcement made loud enough that even neighbors can hear helps to protect law enforcement. An announcement clear enough that the neighbors can understand what was said is important in protecting law enforcement. Based on what the neighbors are saying, there's nothing protecting law enforcement here. If I hear a noise, I don't have a dog. If I hear a noise with someone trying to break into my home, it's I have a family. By any means necessary, I need to protect my family. And so if it means throwing a microwave at the window, something is going to happen. And I don't blame Diamonds and Anthony for trying to protect themselves. Because like Diamond said, the area that she lives in, anything can happen. And I guess it's a real thing in that community. I don't live in a community like that. I've never lived in a community like that. I don't know what it's like living in a community like that. So if she is saying, yo, this is where I live and things go down that are crazy like this, then she would know exactly what she's talking about. And as such, law enforcement should be aware of the kind of community that is and act accordingly. So if someone that has and even that bit right there, Danielle, that bit wasn't included in any of the news reports either, that she's a registered firearm owner, or that her firearm was legal. She had a a legal firearm, not an illegal firearm. They just kind of brushed over that and said she fired upon law enforcement.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I think is implicit. I won't say that she's a licensed firearm owner. I do not know if she's a licensed owner. She has a concealed carry.
Right.
The Constitution tells us we have a right to bear arms. How do we know that it was a legally owned firearm? Because they didn't charge her for nothing with the firearm. That's why. You're allowed to own a gun. It wasn't a black market gun. The serial number wasn't shaved off.
Right.
She's not a felon. If you're not a felon, you are allowed to own a firearm, period, blank. It wasn't an illegal gun. And we know that if there was an issue with the gun, they would have charged her for that too.
Okay. So that is also important. So that is yet again another question that needs to be answered. That question isn't answered. So here we have a woman fighting to maintain her freedom. Her fiancé is still incarcerated. Trying to get out. And right here in Florida, because I'm in Florida, South Florida. So here it is. There's a judge that is saying, well, I really believe that these people acted outside of the law, and until they can prove otherwise, I'm going to treat them accordingly. To some extent. Because, like you said, there are no restrictions on Diamond's bail. So clearly she's not that much of a risk. I could be wrong in my assumption. That was actually an assumption. I shouldn't say clearly. I assume she's not that much of a risk.
You're not wrong. That's the point. That's the point Trey's making. All these contradictions that exist, all the hypocrisy that exists. In one hand, you're saying she's so dangerous, we have to hold her on this unconstitutionally high money bail. And yet, on the other hand, the second she's released, y'all like, all right, word, that's not a problem with us. We don't need to keep an eye on her, nothing. Cool, fam, we'll see you in court. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, if she was a big time drug dealer, then chances are she would have an out. She would have enough money somewhere that she can just dip. She can go.
Right. She'd have got out, scooped up her baby, and been gone.
That is another thing. She has a 12-year-old.
Yes, she does. Who was in the house? Wasn't she in the house?
Was she in the house? I don't see
I'm
any...
actually clear. I don't believe Naya was in the house, but I'm not 100% sure.
I don't see anything that indicated that she was in the house. One of the concerns, one of the other observations, as per the now put out their body cam footage of the arrest, before she was placed inside the vehicle. I don't know if you guys noticed it. They did the clothes search. Now, she's not wearing a whole lot of clothes. Why exactly was that officer doing a pat down on her legs, on her thighs? I saw that, and I had to play it like three times to make sure I saw what I saw. And I was trying to make out if it was a male or female officer. I don't know if it was a male or female officer.
To make sure her black skin wasn't concealing a black gun. That's what it was. I knew it.
Oh, so you saw it too?
I don't know. I just made that shit up. I'm sorry.
Thank you. This broadcast is simulcast on multiple platforms. So I do apologize on behalf of my guests once again, ladies and gentlemen, and to my affiliates. Okay, so they did that pat down, and I don't know if instinctively they just follow that procedure where they do that little bit of a search, but she's not wearing enough clothes for you to do that. You can look and see that you don't have to do a pat down below her waist. You can see that. It's clear. So I'm not sure why it is that they did that. And would they do that for... And I'm going to play the race card here. Would they do that for someone of lighter complexion? Someone of a much lighter persuasion? I don't... Being dressed like that, I don't see it happening. And it's unfortunate that I have to make a statement like that in 2021. But this is the reality. And it's not a reality that that smells like sweet perfume either. It reeks. And there's so much about this that just reeks. Looking at just looking at the reports at a glance, you're gonna think, oh my goodness. So they went to raid these people and they fired at them. They must be guilty. Why else would you shoot at cops coming in to execute a search warrant unless you're guilty? Well, good argument. But they don't know that you're cops. And again, here's this 911 call. She is saying, please, quickly send something. They're going to kill us. Help. The 911 operator asked, do you know who it is that is firing at you? Only to hear in the background the police, the Jacksonville Sheriff Office making the announcement that it's them. And then she goes, wait, what? She doesn't even hang up the phone. She puts it down and goes out and talks with them. Which means then that she's also complying. So at one moment, she is someone that is so anti-law enforcement that she's going to try to kill them. And another moment, she's a law-abiding citizen complying with instructions from law enforcement. Which one is it?
And also it begs that they don't show the part of the video where Diamond is on the porch, but they pull Anthony out and they started beating Anthony because they assumed it was Anthony that fired the shot. And so they showed some of the wounds. They showed some of the wounds that they received while they were beating him. Yes, he was beaten right in front of her home. And it was because they thought it was him that fired the shots initially.
Did anybody witness this?
Absolutely. And you hear her. And you can hear her. You can hear her. If you they of course they turned the camera away, but you can hear her screaming, "Why are you beating him?"
Where is that footage? Where's that recording? Where is that? I didn't find that one.
It's the same one. It's the same one you're talking about. It's the same one that shows the officer's injuries. You'll see her talking and screaming on the porch. And if you listen or pay attention to what she's saying, she's asking the police, why are you beating him? Because he was already on the ground and he was already laying face down on the ground with his hands behind his back.
Even that position, this now takes us to George Floyd for a moment. That position, laying face down with your hands behind your back for an extended period of time, that position can kill you. So it is not even a position that is recommended to be used for an extended period of time. Just laying on your stomach naturally, putting your hands behind you with no weight on your back, you can feel the restriction. Imagine now someone being on you when you're in that position. It's not good. But it's a popularly used restraint position because it limits activity by the individual being restrained. So it's supposed to just happen and then move out of that. But they were beating him as he is on the ground, that is excessive. I can understand emotions running high. I understand that. But the fact that they can say they're going to show, because I was watching the video, it didn't show anything relating to that. So I'm going to have to go look again for that piece of the video. But if they're displaying wounds from beating Anthony Gantt, then it shows that well, of course, I guess emotions would be running high at this point. There was gunfire. Whenever there's gunfire, then there's adrenaline, there's confusion, there's emotions. All this is happening, and as law enforcement, when you're fired upon, it's a band of brothers. It's like you shoot at one, you attack all. And so I get that. I totally get it. Where it bothers me is everything else. What happened before to cause them to be in this position. That bothers me. And there, with all the requests, and I guess, so the defense is saying, all right, what are the exigent circumstances? And it cannot be presented. Now,
Nope.
is it that it cannot be presented because it is so early in the in investigation of the case, or what? Any reason why it cannot be presented? Any legal reason why it cannot be presented? That any of you have heard?
Trey could probably touch on it a little bit better than I can, but again, has to go back to the fact that there are multiple agencies here. So mind you, the warrant that was served was part of a national drug investigation of some sort of alleged drug trafficking ring, whatever, whatnot.
Okay, yes.
Right? So that's the warrant for the drugs they're searching. They, both Anthony and Diamonds, are arrested on a case for attempted murder of a law enforcement officer. So one of the reasons even that it has not been Diamond's attorney who has been able to ask about these exigent circumstances is because Diamonds was not the subject of the warrant, nor was Anthony. But because I guess there might be some alleged ties of Anthony and the actual person they were looking for, then Anthony is entitled. So it's been Anthony's team who has been able to request these exigent circumstances, right? But that's federal, not state. The case is in state. So it has to do with the fact that there's these multiple agencies that are not communicating. And like Trey mentioned before, is a game of cat and mouse. Oh, well, we want this, but we can't get it. And, you know, it's really just a bunch of excuses that they're making up to keep a black man and a black woman, you know, incarcerated longer than they need to be. And when I say incarcerated, I don't just mean the physical incarceration, because we know that Diamonds is physically free now, but she is not free. These charges are weighing on her. She is facing life in prison on these charges.
Yes.
And so they're not providing this information because they want to keep that pressure on. They want her to know we can pick you back up and lock you back up for the rest of your life at any moment. That's why they're not providing this information.
So, at what point do they go to court? When are they due in court? Are they due in court jointly or separately?
So it's not a joint defense. They typically do have their court dates on the same days, but there are separate court events. Yes. They have separate attorneys. And, you know, right now there is no, you know, people want to talk about trial, this and that. The wheels of justice are slow turning. I mean, it could be a long while before we see a trial on this, especially when it comes to coronavirus and how backed up that has the court systems already. Then you take into account the fact that there's all these multiple agencies involved. You know, we don't know where things are at with, you know, subpoenas, depositions, this and that. We probably won't see a trial for months and months and months.
And actually, we should never see a trial.
That part.
Yeah.
There should never. I mean, I am 100% with the attorney Stephen Kelly.
Hmm.
If Diamond has to fight this before a jury of her peers, that's the true miscarriage of justice. You know, in within preliminary hearings and within motions of discovery and things like that, it should never go that far. Because this, like I said, it is a case of cat and mouse, and they don't have substantial evidence to prosecute the charges that they're trying to present. And right now, what they're trying to do is they're trying to drag it out. I mean, to a point where they're starting to talk deals. They're starting to talk, let's give you a misdemeanor. You know, they're starting to talk these things like, let's talk about this. So I don't believe there'll ever be a trial. You know, I think something will be worked out way before then. But the only thing we want is the charges dropped, period. You know, because one thing, she can never live in the city of Jacksonville again. You know, she fighting against a gang that's worse than the Crips and the Bloods. I mean, you shot the police. You can't
Right.
go nowhere. You can't go nowhere. I mean, honestly, we have to be real about this. If that, I wouldn't even want to like walk on the streets of Jacksonville. I would be scared the police would see me at a corner and just shoot me down. Because they can and they will and they do it all the time and nothing will be done. She can't, her family, she can't ever live in Jacksonville, Florida again. It might be almost impossible for her to ever live in Florida again, especially when they drop the charges. You know, because they'll see it. Those white men will see it as a personal affront to their male, fragile police ego. That this black woman had the audacity to shoot one of our marksmen, SWATsmen, 3 times. He ain't duck or nothing. 3 times. That is a personal affront to the police, and her life will forever be in jeopardy by the police.
You know, that right there is a very sad statement. It's unfortunate that a statement like that can be made. It's unfortunate that you could think of making a statement like that, let alone just reeling it off the way you did. Because you would think in the land of the free that that would not happen. But I guess the land of the free doesn't mean freedom for all. And I'm not trying to turn this into a black and white thing, but it really plays out very black and white. And here we go again. It is unfortunate. There are too many cases where the victim is this alleged criminal, and they're either, well, let's just put it under one umbrella, the disenfranchised. Because if you got money, then you're not so black anymore. So the disenfranchised and less fortunate, these are the ones that get faced with the stiff penalties and the high bail, because 500,000 and 350,000, you know, that's not anything to sneeze at. You know, and when there are so many questions about the arrest being made, so they were in possession of marijuana. But you can't get even half a pound of marijuana. And the marijuana wasn't even found in their room. It was in the room of their roommate, who wasn't there at the time.
In his locked room.
And the room was locked. So that's the other thing. So it's not like they locked the room. Because if they're the only ones in the house at the time, they don't need to lock the room. They don't need to lock the door. What, they knew the cops were coming, so they're going to lock the door? And if they knew the cops were coming, then they wouldn't be asleep when the cops came. They would have heard when they came. And they would have been more armed. They would have been more heavily armed if they're gonna put up. They were gonna stage a front. One handgun. Come on. That there's nothing
I
here.
mean, I've been overprotective of my marijuana, but come on, not that overprotective.
Especially when you have less than half a pound.
Less than a quarter pound. It wasn't even a quarter pound. Oh, poor babies.
You see, these people think that making these statements might be going a little bit overboard, but no, nowhere near it. We're not even. We're just approaching the edge at this point. We're not overboard. This is crazy.
Not at all.
And you know, I hear of these things happening in other states, and think that, you know, hey, Florida is nothing like these states. This thing's so happening in Florida, but here we go. This is Jacksonville, Florida.
If I can make a point about that, though, too,
Yeah.
and kind of circling it back to one thing that Trey said earlier, you know, Diamonds had died, everybody would be out taking to the streets with Diamonds Forward, hashtag Diamonds Forward, you know. We need to say people's name while they're here, first off. There's a lot of people that are suffering under the you know, systemic oppression of the criminal justice system and whatnot. But to talk about, you know, Florida, there are George Floyd's and Breonna Taylor's and Tamira.
Trayvon Martin.
I mean, Trayvon Martin happened in Florida, right?
Yeah.
That's in Florida. You're talking about Jacksonville, Florida.
Right.
Marissa Alexander happened in Jacksonville, Florida. You talk about Jacksonville, Florida right now. Diamonds Forward is not the only crazy case that's happening right now in Jacksonville, Florida. Devon Gregory was 18 years old, got off his shift, I think, at McDonald's, and shot, it's like heartbreaking, but shot 34 times by the police.
What?
34 fucking times. I apologize. I didn't mean to cuss, but that's really what it is. 34 times, an 18-year-old boy. You have Brittany Williams, who was in her home, and the police pulled in her driveway. And when she said, like, hello, can I help you? They beat the crap out of her and knocked her teeth out. These happened just months ago, just like Diamond. Brittany happened just a few days before George Floyd. Devon Gregory happened in the fall as well, maybe October. Diamonds happened in September. So you have to understand, it's not just, this doesn't happen in Florida. This is not just, it's not, oh, there's one case in Florida. There's a ton of cases in Florida. So the question is, why aren't we doing anything about it? Why isn't Jacksonville, Florida turned up the way Ferguson was turned up after Mike Brown? Why isn't Jacksonville, Florida turned up the way Minneapolis was turned up after George Floyd? Because this is happening right now. 3 crazy cases happening right now in Jacksonville, Florida.
Exactly. They had organizers, because I'm from Chicago, born and raised. We had organizers from Chicago coming to Jacksonville to stand up for Devon Gregory. And not only was he shot in the car that he was not driving in, they also sent the police dog into the car after he was shot, and the dog bit him like 15 times in his face. So, this is not even 6 months old. And his family was on the phone with him. They heard all 30 shots. They heard the dog eating their 18-year-old child in Florida. And in Duval County. And again, Brittany Williams, the officer was in her driveway checking his email. She asked him what he was doing, and he got out. Not only did he beat her up, they held her husband in handcuffs and made him watch them beat her up.
What?
Yes, Brittany Williams. Google, yes, they get a mess up there in Jacksonville. I live in West Palm Beach, and I've been going back and forth to Jacksonville because they are turning up. They are acting a fool in Jacksonville. Google it. Devon Gregory, Brittany Williams, Diamonds Ford, Marissa Alexander. Come on. Jacksonville needs to just be closed for business.
Yeah. And I do want to make a point too, because we're talking about Googling, but I want to go back to the point about the way the news portrays stuff, because I will say very forward facing. When you Google Devon Gregory, the news tries to paint him in a way where he was this agitator, this and that. We always just got to keep in mind that those stories are biased. Those are based off police reports and police statements. And guess what? Devon didn't get a chance to make a statement. Devon's dead. 18 years old, no trouble with the law, just got off his shift at work. And at what point, regardless of anything, let's throw it all aside. Let's say he was talking crazy. Why did you need to shoot him 34 times? 34 times. You had multiple officers unload their clips and send dogs in after them. Those are the questions we need to be asking. Like, I mean, how is that justified? If you're, I'm at a loss for words. When I think about it, it's so egregious. But yes, these are the things that are happening right here, right now in Jacksonville. They are going crazy. I drive up to Jacksonville every week, about diamonds and stuff like that. But there's other stuff going on there too. Like Trey says, we need to just go on ahead and shut it down. Like literally, it could be closed permanently. Jacksonville, ghost town, burn it to the ground, because whatever they got going on there, we don't need any of it at all.
I'm blown away. I didn't know. And I pride myself in getting information from multiple places. This bit of information here, I thought, going out and telling people about Diamonds Ford, that would be it. But, oh no, there's a whole lot more to talk about here. Tons more to talk about. So, is Dignity Power involved in any of these other cases? Or you just know about them and follow up on them on occasions?
Well, we're actively supporting and figuring out a different way to support Brittany Williams, because we're launching a campaign about protecting Black women, period. Protect Black women at all costs. Because, again, like you said, you hear about it in other states. Not even 3 weeks ago, 18-year-old Black girl in Indianapolis in a McDonald's driveway, a gang member didn't like the rap music they were playing, got out his car, broke out their window, and she shot him with her legal firearm. And tomorrow she has to face voluntary manslaughter charges. And she was in the back seat behind the driver. She couldn't get out in a driveway. She was trapped. But these are Black women protecting themselves all at one time and still being faced with the law. The little Black girl in Florida that was body slammed by the resource officer on top of her head.
I remember that.
We are looking to find our sisters and bring them together and put the face of the people this country allowed to be brutalized, beaten, and disrespected time and time again. And when we stand up for ourselves, which is why we went out and found $500,000 to get Diamond Fords out, because Black women are worth it. And we want the people in the state of Florida, Dignity Power, to know that Black women are worth it. And we deserve to be protected.
Right, rightly so. Yes, because without the Black women, we're not gonna have any Black men. Hello.
And I have to just add on to that too, Trey. I love when Tiffy came in and she rocked out with us. One of our organizer activist friends in South Florida. She she introduced me to a new chant. I don't know if Trey had heard it before, but it goes, Black women are dynamite, that's with dynamite. It goes tick, 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 boom, dynamite. But I love that because it's so true. Like Trey says, we got to protect Black women at all costs. And then we're around Black women who are dynamite, like Trey, like Tiffy, like all these other organizers across the state and across the country that really make the moves happen. If we wouldn't have gotten this money for Diamonds Forward if it wasn't for Black women making moves. So I just want to uplift that as well.
Yeah. Big ups to you guys for doing this. And yeah, it's not to say that there aren't any other organizations out there that are doing what they can. I know of you guys now working with Diamonds Ford and working on this particular case. So I'm addressing you guys as it relates to this particular case, and big ups to you for doing that. Thank you, thank you, thank you for doing it. And I'm pretty sure Diamonds is also grateful that you're doing it. It's crazy how this whole thing is playing out. It's crazy that it happens, that it has to be played out. That is actually happening. How can people get involved? How can people help Dignity Power in helping Diamonds and other Black women in Florida and anywhere else that you're giving help to disenfranchised people? How can people reach
Definitely.
Well, we're having, last year we held the Black Mama Bailout, and we're having the Black Mama Bailout again this year. You can donate for the bailout at Dignity Power, Cash App, just Dignity Power, just like that, one word, at the $ PayPal. If you want to support Diamond Forge, you can go to the Diamond Forge page, drop the charges, free Diamonds Forge page, and donate there. We also have, we're doing legislation. Dignity does legislation. We have done Dignity for Incarcerated Women in 2019. We passed that legislation. And we also passed the Tammy Jackson Act, which bans solitary confinement for pregnant women. And this year, we have House Bill 1115, which is protecting the dignity of women and infants. And that's Senate Bill 1426. So you can call your representatives and your senators and tell them to support protecting the dignity of women and infants, which bans women from having babies inside our state prisons. So we're doing a lot of work, and we always need help. Anybody in North Florida, every Friday, sometimes Thursday, we're out in front of the state's attorney's office in Jacksonville demanding Melissa Nelson drop the charges against Diamond Ford and Anthony Gantt.
Right.
And yeah, we just out here.
And just to add a couple things onto that, so we do have a Facebook page for Diamonds. It's called Free Diamonds. We also have an Instagram. It's Justice for Diamonds Forward. You could hit us up on either of those platforms. We also have a media toolkit. So if you want to put out any of our graphics and circulate them, it's a bit.ly link. It's bit.ly/ I think it's Justice for Diamonds Media Kit. I have to double check that. And there's also a website. And if you go, it's bit.ly/Diamonds Forward website, all lowercase, and give you a lot of information how to stay connected with us. And you can also find that information on the Facebook and Instagram as well with those links.
Excellent.
And yeah, we just need that support. Tell Melissa Nelson to drop the charges, tweet her, send her an email. Put that pressure on. Call your reps to tell them to tell Melissa to drop the charges. You just got to keep the pressure on.
Well, let's get to it. Let's all just get to it, because we can't sit around and wait for everything to the dust to just settle and everything to just go back to normal. That's not going to happen. We've seen a record of things just not working out in our favor that way. And when I say our favor, I mean those that don't have the money, those disenfranchised, those that need the help. And I guess it all comes back to fixing a broken system. Because let me say this: we often look at how the law enforcement officers operate. Understand this: they're also operating by certain guidelines. So, whereas beating Anthony Gantt in front of their home as he's in restraints, that is just ridiculous. You that's just a no. There are things outside of this case that law enforcement officers will do, and people will look on and question it. We need to question the justice system in which these law enforcement officers have to operate. And we need to address that. We need to raise those questions. And it is good that Dignity Power goes to legislature to question some of these things. Because that now changes the guidelines under which law enforcement officers operate. So now it changes the playing field. And hopefully we can all end up in a better system. That those who are poor, those that are black, or any other color, doesn't really matter. We're all people. We're all human beings. We all deserve the same level of treatment, whether we have $1 or $1,000,000 in the bank. We all deserve the same treatment, but we don't all get the same treatment. And as long as we have organizations like Dignity Power and all the others, we stand at a sliver of a chance with making a change. But all it takes is a flicker. It only takes a spark to set a building ablaze. So let's go ahead and be that spark. Dignity Power, you guys over there, Trey, Danielle, you guys are sparks. And that's all it takes. Just a spark. So thank you guys for again coming on and spending some time with me to share and to inform us about what is going on with Diamonds Ford. Anybody looking on that want to know more, or listening that want to know more, you can Google her. You can look her up. Diamonds, Diamonds, Ford. Listen, I'm just about spent with some of this information tonight. You know, I read up on some of this and I was like, okay, I think I got it covered. But hearing some more of this from you guys, it's irritating. It's concerning. I have children, I have girls in my family. You know, yeah. It's just way too concerning for me. So let's keep our ears open. Let's keep our feet on the ground. Let's be accountable to each other. Let's look out for one another. Trey, Danielle, once again, thank you. Trey, safe travels. I hope you're getting closer to the somewhere that you're going and away from that nowhere that you were. Get there safely. Safe travels. Danielle, take care of your dog. Keep her hopefully she's not too startled by anything else for the remainder of the night. Y'all can get some rest. And y'all take care. We'll be in touch. All right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I do want to just say that the second time when she went crazy, somebody knocked on the door. So it proved our hypothesis. When somebody knocks on the door, your dog barks. That's all I got to say about that.
There you go.
All right. Have a great night.
All right. You too. Take care.
Okay, bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. For Diamonds Ford. Tonight, it was all about diamonds. And Anthony, let's not leave out Anthony, because Anthony Gantt is included in this. This whole thing it's crazy. It really is. But it doesn't have to end with the narrative that we come across when we search for information. It doesn't have to end there. We can take it and we can fix it. But we can't do it alone. We can't do it as no man is an island. No man stands alone. We need to band together. We need to come together and understand what is happening in our community. None of us are exempt from this kind of treatment. None of us are exempt from this kind of activity happening in our own homes. So don't think that because you live in an affluent society, that in an affluent community, that you are exempt. Drive in the wrong community and be mistaken for somebody from that community and see what happens to you. Unless things change. We're going to take a quick little break and come back. We just close out with a little bit of musical therapy. Thank you guys. Y'all take care. When we come back from the break, we continue and close out the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew.
Pulse Media Group, innovative streaming and recording, has done it again. A new way to get your business in full view of your neighborhood consumer through AdShare TV. It's available in your neighborhood today. It's easy. Just call us 754-999-6020. Become a host today and place a TV monitor in a strategic location so it's easy to see. Get a 1-minute video ad or longer that plays anywhere in our network. Can't be a host? No problem. For a few dollars, we'll run your 30-second video ad. A host can run announcement specials like buy one get one free or discount ads. Let's turn your flyers into a 30-second video with music or a voiceover, or let us create and run your video ad with a spokesperson. Take advantage of our early enrollment discount. Join us today. Your ad will be seen at least 30 times per day in your AdShare TV neighborhood. It's easy. Just call us 754-999-6020. AdShare TV, part of Pulse Media Group.
Yes, my people, check out I Red Funks on Reggae Global Radio every Saturday at 8 p.m. with Kev Stew, where I'll give you a pre-life, brand new, good for you. Kick it like a ball if you don't say a dance song, you hear that?
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Greetings and salutations, one and all. You're invited to tune in to the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It airs on Mondays with Community and Finance, Tuesdays with Healthy Love, and Wednesdays with Real Talk from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. Come spend some time interacting in the stew pot where we keep things bubbling and wind down in musical therapy. The night shift with DJ Kevin Stew is on kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.
I'm representing for DJ Kevin Stew, working on the night shift radio show. Won't go changing like the weather, just to please the devil never. Will DJ Kevin Stew sell his soul? That's a word and honor. It's Chris Cinti representing Word and Honor. Still I said DJ Kevin Street.
Yeah. I see them love. Oh, yes, I see them. Lost in illusion. Lost in illusion. I see them love. Oh, yes, I see them. Lost in delusion. And now they reside in the state of confusion. Why is it that my race remains poor? My race sitting on the jail floors. My race fighting to knock down doors. Same race they stole from across the shore. My race that built this great nation, still trapped on my plantation. I see them love. Oh yes, I see them. Lost in illusion. Lost in illusion. I see them love. Oh yes, I see them. Lost in delusion. And now they reside in a state of confusion. Rwanda, Haiti, down in Darfur, Jamaica, they're crying out for murder, hunger. Why can't we come together and help one another? It only takes but one to start a revolution. Please don't play into the illusion. Oh, I see them lost. Yeah, I see them lost. Oh, in a state of confusion. Wake up, wake up, wake up, yeah. Oh, I see them lost. I see them lost. I see them running. Oh, I see them running. Oh, my people lost. Oh, my people lost, yeah. I wanna tell it to you now. I see them lost, lost in delusion, yeah. I see them lost, oh, lost in delusion, yeah. My people, you lost.
The track is called Lost in Illusion. The sound of Nikki Blaze.
I see them love, oh yes, I see them.
Yeah man, I see them too, don't you?
I see them love, oh yes, I see them.
When the wool gets pulled over your eyes,
And now they reside.
that's when you end up in a state of confusion.
Right now, here what the storm I say. It no matter where you dey, say tribulation they everywhere.
It's the real storm.
Them dirty system want hold without. So when me and touch the microphone, we slew them just.
Track called Foreign Life.
Oh, no. I say the track, Lord, is really hard, Lord. It not pretty here abroad, Lord. For it not easy. Look how them undermine the needy. The black, the poor get no regard, Lord. Me Charlie come a foreign looking for a better life. Him having two like a daughter, three like a son, a mother and a wife. And not now go on about 2 acre farm, but the kindness that him showing at the community, everyone will agree that they meet from what him grow. Just want to escape the sufferation, dry the tears from my eyes, provide a good foundation, cause the well was running dry. Him thinks a milk and only day about he was surprised. When him touching at the place and realize, hey, that trod, Lord, is really hard, Lord. It's not pretty here abroad, Lord. For it not easy. Look how them undermine the needy. The black, the poor get no regard, Lord. Step on the block here when me stay. We living day to day. Fill out them application, but them every hand they a jaw. Oppression is the law. At every intersection there's a liquor store. So why you not size up the floor? And food them take we far. Round ya, round ya, round ya. I sing the trot, Lord. It's really hard, Lord. It's not pretty here abroad, Lord. Very not easy. Look how them undermine the leader. The black, the poor get no regard, Lord. So hear the talk, you watch the walk, you read the Psalms, you learn the part, you he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High, guarded by the Father. When you step, no forget, say you feel militantly hold the order. Only the King of Kings who rules and reigns can try to trump the card. How them a try control, we no belong to them. Them want we go back to the days of picking cotton tree again. So rise my people out of your slumber, don't be a prey in the cause of the vulture. Remember your roots and remember your culture. While them a pillage and while them a plunder, the trod, Lord. It's really hard, Lord. It's not pretty here abroad, Lord. Very not easy. Look how them undermine the leader. The black, the poor get no regard, Lord.
That's what my father said. Oh, yeah.
This is the sound of Hezron. One of those little life lesson moments. It's called Life is a Poker Game.
Life is a poker game, a game of chance and love. Be careful how you play the game. The cards are never enough. That is it. Life is a poker game, game of chance and love. Be careful how you play the game. The cards are never enough. Tell me, Father, is there something you done wrong in the past? Why this love of mine so hard? Man, I've been trying for so long, and I can't seem to get much further along. But Daddy said, son, in this life, every man is given a deck of cards. It's the way you play it, you get your reward. Yes. 'Cause sometimes when you think you're winning, that's when you're losing. Sometimes when you're losing, here comes the winning card. Yes. That is it. Life is a poker game, a game of chance and love. Be careful how you play the game.
Yeah, you got to be careful, you know.
Never enough.
Don't take things for granted.
That is it.
I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. Encouraging you guys to spread the word. Diamonds Ford, she needs some justice. Anthony Gantt, her fiancé, he needs some justice.
We'll try. 'Cause the envy has
I wanted to say thanks to the affiliates,
put obstacles in
One Harmony Radio,
most of the time.
Island Worldwide, NIE Radio, ClintonLindsay.com, the Foundation Radio Network,
Often a good
WGLRO,
see the best player in the game.
Ollie Wap,
Most of
Dusick Media Group, PEMGTV.com. Thank you all.
always keep your
Join me tomorrow, Healthy Love, right here, same time, same place, 10 p.m. Eastern.
future game. Whenever you got a good woman,
This is where I gotta bounce on out.
she's like a royal straight flush. She's the winning.
I'm gonna leave you with the sound of Crescenti, a track called Losing Battle. Good morning, good afternoon, good day to you wherever you are in the world from right here in South Florida. I bid you a good night.
A losing battle is not my game. Rasta don't play that my game. Like
say. No heathen can wear a Rasta crown. And them say we govern in his own. To represent your firmament, Christianity devotes its hands. And to the world I do present my philosophy I represent. Hear the voice of God echoing from over yonder to say, no losing battle is not my game. I'm not play that my day. No heathen can wear a Rasta crown, 'cause I am not governed in his own. No losing battle is not my game. I'm not play that my day. No heathen can wear a Rasta crown. Tell them say we govern in his own.
Greetings and salutations, one and all. You're invited to tune in to the Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It airs on Mondays with Community and Finance, Tuesdays with Healthy Love, and Wednesdays with Real Talk from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. Come spend some time interacting in the stew pot where we keep things bubbling and wind down in musical therapy. The Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew is on kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.